Ireland and the Wallabies, folks, 46 points to 19. Record win for Ireland over Australia. Second half, pretty well dominated from Ireland and started with one of the fastest hat-tricks you'll ever see. Mack Hansen at fullback. 3 tries in 27 minutes. Pretty bonkers stuff from him. But honestly, I felt like his work chasing high balls was maybe even more impressive. But yeah, emphatic. Maybe this will quiet, because I remember last week some of the pundits, at least the commentators, were saying how they weren't that thrilled about Ireland's big win over the Japanese, but maybe this will... Mack Hansen kind of mentioned it in the post-match, how, expectations are high. So surely this will have things a little bit happier in the pundit world, and it really sets up a cracking clash with the Springboks next week. Let's go through some of the key events and the stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts. A lot of pressure from Ireland coming early. They really dominated the possession and the territory in the opening period of the first half. It felt like a try was coming, and it did come when they had a penalty after, as I said, an extended period of pressure down Australia's end. Gibson-Park, who is... he's such a quick thinker in terms of spotting opportunities. I think it was only Matt Faessler, the hooker, who was switched on to what he was doing initially. Takes a quick tap. There are phases, and then Mack Hansen is able to go over for the try. Close to the sticks, 7 points to 0. And then you had something which is not the most common sight for Sam Prendergast, putting on a big hit to knock the ball out of the guy's hands. That was his hit on James O'Connor. Did Prendo miss 3 tackles in the game? Yes. But did he put a big hit on James O'Connor and knock the ball out of his hands? Yes. So give him credit for that one. That was a nice big turnover for them. And then he put in a great kick not too long later. Max Jorgensen, at times, was kind of at 6s and 7s at the back for Australia. He, kind of like Mack Hansen, is usually a winger who can play fullback. Clearly Hansen had the better of the go at fullback this week compared to Jorgo. But I mean, partly the conditions not helpful for Jorgo as well. But anyway, that one was a cracking kick from Prendergast. Led to a line-out which was close range for the Irish forwards, and a almost carbon copy of the first try. They shift the ball to the backs. Henshaw, Prendergast, and then Hansen gets his second, 14 points to 0. Phenomenal start from Ireland. They've been all over the Aussies, really. The Aussies did get a much-needed try in reply. It wasn't pretty, but I guess it fits the conditions. It's a load of phases. It's advantage. Hard-working forwards, and then Ikitau is able to finish it. Who does he beat over the line? It is Prendergast. You probably should run at that guy. There's loads of teams in the past have had backline players usually who aren't the biggest tacklers. The Aussies used to hide Quade Cooper at fullback a lot of the time on first phase ball because they didn't want him defending up in the line. But yeah, the runs over Prendergast essentially. So 14 points to 7. Unable to kind of replicate that big tackle on O'Connor earlier, but Ikitau is a harder guy to stop from close range. Ikitau's a good player. There's no shame in, missing a tackle on that guy. Both sides, you felt like shelled a few balls in the rain. It kind of made sense. The conditions were punishing at times. And then at one point you had the Irish guys just swarming over Jorgensen again. From a kick, they pushed him back over the line. 5-metre scrum. That leads to the Hansen try. Hansen was very good in the post-match to give his teammates credit. He kind of basically said all his tries were kind of walk-ins, and he's not too far wrong. You got to give credit to the guys who put the pressure on to get that 5-metre scrum. And then again, it's a dink from Prendergast to O'Brien, who kind of draws in 2 tacklers. Tommy O'Brien puts the ball behind him, and Hansen's able to just walk it in for a hat-trick. But that's a hell of a hat-trick, man. 27 minutes against Australia. That doesn't happen. So 19 points to 7. The Aussies did go through a load of phases in the Irish half in reply. But again, it wasn't really going anywhere. It's been a little bit of a frustrating one with the Aussie attack. They resort to a kick, which James O'Connor puts boot to ball. It's too deep. It's a real let-off. But it's credit to the Irish defence for forcing the kick because they weren't going anywhere. The Aussies, the next Aussie attack, because they do actually get a decent period of possession and territory on Ireland's end. Line out gets stolen. It was nice from an Irish perspective to see their line-out functioning this week at 100%, and it was the opposition's line-out which was struggling. So, yeah, line-out disruption for Ireland on Australia was emphatic this week. So, next one is stolen 2. Then we get a bit of a TMO intervention for a little bit of a nothing collision between James Lowe and Harry Potter, but we do get the Australians again not going for threes late in the first half, and they managed to get a line out, which they won for a change, the maul phases, and again, not the prettiest one, but McWright is able to burrow over just before halftime. So, much needed score for them, keeps the game within touching distance. They have actually edged the possession in the territory come halftime, have the Australians. But, yeah, their lineout's at 75%, and it's getting worse as the game goes on. Line breaks is really tight, like it's 2-1 to Ireland. There's those kind of big cut-them-to-bits plays haven't been there in the first half, but we would see more of it from Ireland in the second and none of it from Australia, sadly for them. Second half, the Aussies piggyback the Irish up the field with a few kind of silly penalties conceded. They got March 10 for a bit of back chat, and then the Irish did get held up. Harry Potter with a pretty good defensive play to get under, I think it was that Porter? I forget now, but I remember it was a great defensive play from the winger to get under a forward. But the Irish scrum still started to turn the screws, went through some phases, and then we got a Prendergast drop goal, which I feel like was a pretty smart play, seeing as Ireland had been banging on the door, not really being able to get the punch that they would have liked either. Like, it would come later, but sometimes you need to get the points just psychologically reward for all the pressure you're putting on. That makes it 22-14, 2-score game, suddenly looking like a fair bit further back for the Aussies. And then we do get more TMO intervention, which robs Tommy O'Brien of what would have been a beautiful try. Free kick at scrum time against the Aussies, and then a big bomb kick by Gary Owen to Jorgensen, which he doesn't take, and then Ireland with the wide ball out to Tommy O'Brien. Sadly, TMO'd. Would have been a nice one. Don't know if it'll be in the highlights, but there was a double knock-on in the build-up, sadly. Another scrum penalty for Ireland leads to 3 more points, 25-14. Really starting to look like a long way back for the Aussies. James O'Connor does have a great touch finder on 64 minutes, which potentially gets the Aussies back into the game with some momentum. They lose the line out. Nothing really going their way, man. And it gets worse. The final, like, Ireland will be really happy with the final. Barring the one Aussie try, they'll be happy with how ruthless they were in the final kind of, 15 or so minutes. Hansen, again, great under the high ball. Leads to a bunch of Irish phases, and Caelan Doris is able to get himself over the line for a try. 32-14. Frost goes off for a yellow card for a high shot on Clarkson. Although, to their credit, the Aussies did keep fighting. Like, Pollard got a close-range try of his own, but then there's 2 tries at the death to Ireland. Like, you're thinking, firstly, it's just Ireland not wanting to let the Aussies have the final say. That one's a bit of power as Baird gets over. Aki had a nice big carry in the build-up from line-out play, 39-19. And the last one, it's pretty sexy stuff. Like, Rory Best on comms was almost incredulous. Like, cross kick to Kelleher out on the wing. As a former hooker, he must have been, I guess, not expecting that kind of play, or just the game has changed a bit. And then another kick the other way from Gibson-Park out to Henshaw, who finishes it. So it's emphatic. 46-19. Territory finishes 50-50. Possessions 58-42 to Ireland. They had more of the ball. Sorry, my handwriting's terrible. Line breaks 7-1. Remember, it was 2-1 at halftime. So second half, it's all Ireland. Line out, Ireland 100%. That's maybe the one stat I'm happiest about for them this week, because it has been improving. It was pretty terrible against the All Blacks, a bit shaky against the Japanese, but improved as the game went on, and then 100% this week. That's what you want. The Aussie one was 68%, which is just not going to win you games. Defenders beaten us 20-10. Kicks from hand is a lot, 45-24. That's more kicks than you see in most games, but you play to the conditions, and if the Aussies keep dropping the high balls, why wouldn't you keep putting them through? Turnovers conceded, I think, is the one that the Aussies will look at, like 18 to Ireland's 12. Coughing up too much ball, and a lot of those is not being able to take high balls and secure your own line-out ball. Individuals, James Lowe, 15 carries. Mack, Hansen, 3 line breaks, 3 tries. Baird and Doris topped the tackle count for Ireland with 14. Jorgensen, 4 turnovers conceded from him. They do miss having Tom Wright at fullback, who was their kind of key man earlier in the year when their attack was looking a fair bit sharper. But yeah, emphatic win from the Irish. I haven't seen the French and Fiji game, which was played at the same time just yet. I have seen the result, but I'm off to watch that now. You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. How well do you think this sets up Ireland up against Springboks next week? Can you see the Aussies giving the French a go, or do you think they are waiting to get back on a plane home? You guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys. It has been a long season for the Wallabies. Talk to you guys again soon. See you later.